So if you're a nurse, you need to know that recently there's been legislation to cap the amount that these travel nurses can charge the hospital. Now, here's my take on this. Nurses have been underpaid and overworked for years, even before COVID. So if you want to blame anyone for creating this problem, blame hospital administrators, blame the hospital CEOs. So why is it that for years you can overwork hospital staff, you can underpay them? And for that reason is why you have a shortage of nurses, because there's plenty of nurses. There's just not nurses that are willing to put up with the working conditions that have been implemented by hospital administrators. So for years, hospitals have overworked nurses to their breaking point, created their own issue. And now that COVID has exacerbated this issue, now you want to cry to the government, we don't have enough nurses, when they started the problem to begin with. And boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, people on the board, why can CEOs be paid millions and there's no cap on CEOs, but you want to cap nurses as soon as they start making a little bit of money? No, capitalism doesn't work that way. If you want a capitalistic society and you don't want a cap on your millions that you make as a CEO, barely doing God knows what, because let's be honest, CEO, if you don't want a cap on the millions that you make, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that you're making annually, and you don't want a cap on that, then you can't be a hypocrite and go cap nurse salaries. Nurses are busting their you-know-what. It's not like they're being paid this money to just sit around and twiddle their thumbs. They're breaking their backs for every cent and penny that they are earning. So they deserve this pay for going out there, being away from their family, risking their lives. So you can't cry, government, that now the travel agencies are charging too much, because that's how capitalism works. If there's a shortage, it's supply and demand. So if there's a demand for something and there's a shortage, prices are going to go up. So pay nurses. Now that nurses finally have the opportunity to make some money and pay off student loans and make life-changing money that they have deserved all this time, nurses, you have to advocate for yourselves. Write your legislators. You know what scares legislators the most? If you write them and you tell them that you will not vote for them if you see that they vote for this legislation. If they vote for this, tell them, I will not vote for you. I will not elect you. That's what scares them, because they want to remain in their little cushy positions that pays them hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. So nurses, I urge you, take 15 minutes out of your day, write your legislators, turn off the Netflix, turn off Hulu, whatever it is that you're doing or watching or wasting your time doing. This is important. You have to unite. Nursing has been a field predominantly full of women, and as women, we don't advocate for ourselves. We tend to be martyrs, and we let people give us more and more and more, and we just hold that burden without advocating and demanding that we get paid our worth. And when this is over, if California can pass nurse-patient ratios, other states can pass that too. Even before COVID, we've always been short-staffed. I was a bedside nurse for 5 years and we were always short-staffed, and this was way before COVID. The conditions that we are having to deal with as nurses is inexcusable. And patients, you should be scared for your lives, because the more patients we have, the more in danger your lives are. There's only so many balls we can juggle. If we're juggling 10 balls, something's going to drop, right? Something's going to fall through the cracks. It is not safe for patients. It's not safe for nurses to be taking care of so many patients. Nurses, we have to unite. Ask for nurse-patient ratios. In California, this was passed, and the hospitals tried to use scare tactics like, oh, the hospitals will shut down, blah, blah, blah. They tried to instill fear to show that this will not work. What happened? Nurses that had left the bedside have also come back to the bedside. And you know what? Ironically, it even saves hospitals money, because it reduces nurse turnover. So thereby the hospitals are losing less experienced nurses and are not having to train more nurses. So advocate for yourselves. Do not let this legislation pass. And when this is over, you have to start advocating for nurse-patient ratios.